You see, all these cells have the same genes, but their epi-genes.
Genetically bred back to cows, these cows contain an A2 beta casein, but more importantly, these cows eat them. That's the lie. You under the sun. Two of my children fast enough.
Well, these mice may hold a clue. Their DNA is as identical as Anna Marie and Clotilde's, despite the differences in their color and size. The human who studies them is Duke University's Randy Journal. So Randy, I see here you have skinny mice and fat mice. What have you done in this lab?
Well, these animals are actually genetically identical.
The fat ones and the skinny ones?
That's correct.
Because these are huge.
They're huge.
Can we weigh them to find out?
So if you take, this is...
Looks like they can barely walk.
They can't walk too much. They're not going to be running very far. So that's about 63 grams.
63 grams.
Let's look at the other one.
So it's half the weight.
Right.
This gets even more mysterious when you realize that these identical mice both have a particular gene called agouti. But in the yellow mouse, it stays on all the time, causing obesity. Just look at this. So what accounts for the thin mouse? Exercise? Atkins? No. A tiny chemical tag of carbon and hydrogen, called a methyl group, has affixed to the agouti gene, shutting it down. Living creatures possess millions of tags like these. Some, like methyl groups, attach to genes directly, inhibiting their function. Other types grab the proteins, called histones, around which genes coil, and tighten or loosen them to control gene expression. Distinct methylation and histone patterns exist in every cell, constituting a sort of second genome, the epigenome.
Epigenetics literally translates into just meaning above the genome. So if you would think, for example, of the genome as being like a computer, the hardware of a computer, the epigenome would be like the software that tells the computer when to work, and how much.
In fact, it's the epigenome that tells our cells what sort of cells they should be. Skin, hair, heart. You see, all these cells have the same genes, but their epigenomes silence the unneeded ones to make cells different from one another. Epigenetic instructions pass on as cells divide, but they're not necessarily permanent. Researchers think they can change, especially during critical periods like puberty or pregnancy. Journal's mice reveal how the epigenome can be altered. To produce thin brown mice instead of fat yellow ones, he feeds pregnant mothers a diet rich in methyl groups to form the tags that can turn genes off.
And I think you can see that we dramatically shifted the coat color, and we get many, many more brown animals.
And that matters because your coat color is a tracer. It's an indicator.
That's correct.
Of the fact that you have turned off that gene.
That's right.
This epigenetic fix was also inherited by the next generation of mice, regardless of what their mothers ate. And when an environmental toxin was added to the diet instead of nutrients, more yellow babies were born, doomed to grow fat and sick like their mothers. It seems to me this has profound implications for our health.
It does. For human health, if there are genes like this in humans, basically what you eat can affect your future generations. So you're not only what you eat, potentially what your mother ate, and possibly even what your grandparents ate.
So how do you go to humans to do this experiment when you have these mice and they're genetically identical on purpose?
That's right.
So who is your perfect lab human?
Well, then we look for identical humans, which are identical twins.
Twins.
And that's what they're doing. You know, so the point there is what they did in the study, Identical twins, same DNA. They took a toxin, BPA. Where do we find BPA? Plastics. You missed the biggest one. Cans, absolutely. There's plastic in cans, huge source. And another, cosmetics and personal care products. Phthalates and BPA are the majority of them. The problem with that is that you're